Hello and welcome to Podcast Prosperity. I'm Tomas Garza, and Lisa and I are delighted that you've chosen to join us in the creation of your very own podcast, which is a wonderful way to take your content and repurpose it, recirculate it for global distribution over internet radio. And we know you're going to have a fabulous time and learn a great deal about yourself and your own content in the process. So what we'd like to do here is take a few minutes and tell you about something very unique that you have the opportunity to participate in as you go through Podcast Prosperity with us. And these are called Energetic Support Sessions, or ESS for short. I'll explain what these are and how they can benefit you as you go through Podcast Prosperity and in your life in general. Energetic support sessions are a series of remote energy healings that I perform for you as we go through the Podcast Prosperity creation process. Now, remote energy healing is something that you may or may not be familiar with, so let me explain a little bit about what this is. I am also a healer. In addition to being a podcast host and an author myself, I have been involved in some form of remote energy healing for almost all of my life. And I can tell you that these packages really, really work to help bring a sense of relief, a sense of mental clarity, and an overall sense of lightening to people's lives. So if you've never done anything like this before, this is something that we highly recommend you participate in because it does, as we said, assist in mental clarity. It assists in an emotional lightness. And this operates on the mental, emotional, spiritual, and psychological level. You may or may not get any relief of physical symptoms or pain, aches and pains, such as a headache, stomachache, backache. However, what my experience has shown me is that while physical healing is not necessarily the goal, by healing yourself and improving your mental and emotional state, physical relief most often follows that directly. So, working at this level, what happens in a remote energy healing is it is exactly as it sounds. It's remote, meaning you don't have to be present. You don't have to be in seated meditation. You can be doing anything that you normally do, whether that is driving a car, sleeping, you could be in a business meeting, you could be anywhere in the world and still experience the benefit. What happens is after each of your calls, I will set aside a half hour of time and perform a remote energy healing for you. At the end of that half hour, what happens is I will record on my iPhone a voice recording talking about what came up during the healing, what I noticed, and what you should pay attention to, because you often get homework, things to look at, things to pay attention to, and specific practices to recommend as a result of this. So this really is a coaching and mentorship component. So I will send that to you via text or email, and then you have the opportunity to participate at a later time in a 15 to 20 minute telephone call with me where you can ask clarifying questions. I can ask you clarifying questions, and we can get a little bit more information about what has come up and what the universe recommends that you do. Because what I am is a conduit for universal energy, spirit, source, God, whatever you call a higher power, however that works for you. I am simply transmitting this energy as a healer. And how do you know it works? Well, you may feel a sense of relief. You may feel an overall sense of lightening if you felt heavy, like you were carrying some deep emotional burden or baggage. You may feel that lifted, either completely or at least partially, which is a very, very good, very helpful thing. Now, who benefits from this? Well, everybody, but people involved in a creative process, such as the creation of a podcast, often benefit so much from this because you can get more mental clarity. You can get greater mental clarity. And participating in energetic support sessions will enable you to deal with difficult content. I know that many people have very, very painful content that they're dealing with and repurposing because there's a message in there for the entire world that you want to get out. What this can do for you is working deeply at the emotional level can enable you to stay present for that content without being sucked down or dragged back down into any painful drama or any painful, debilitating feelings. It will enable you to raise your emotional vibration to the level where you're able to stay present with painful content without being sucked right back down into it. And that's just one example of the many benefits of getting some form of relief and lightening. So I want to invite you to participate in this. This is optional with Podcast Prosperity, but to be honest, Lisa and I can't imagine going through a creative process without that. And I'll explain a little bit more about why I think you should participate in it. It's because between now and the 1st of July, all right, between now and June 30th, the first half of this year, this comes at no additional cost to you. It is included in the price of Podcast Prosperity. So there's no reason not to participate. Now, I do want to leave you with the opportunity to ask me any questions because it's a lot more involved than just a 7-minute video. These are just the highlights. So send me a private message if you have questions. Send Lisa a private message if you have questions, because we want to offer this to you. Who doesn't need energetic support when you're going through a major creative process? And this is an integral part to us of what Podcast Prosperity is and what it's all about. So we want to offer that to you. All right, I hope you have a wonderful day, and thank you again for joining us on this process. It's really great to have you aboard.